Hi, welcome to Razan's Corner. Today I want to talk about commitment. I received a message from somebody inquiring about commitment and why some people are actually afraid of commitment. And, this young person was actually concerned that this has been their pattern and they're terrified of actually going into a serious relationship and wanted to know where is that coming from and what to do about it. Okay, so that inspired me to make this video about attachment styles. There's a reason why we act a certain way in relationships when we're adults. It comes from somewhere, definitely deeply rooted in childhood. We develop something called attachment styles when we're children. And what does that look like? Attachment styles are usually two major categories. We have secure and insecure. So, what does secure attachment look like in childhood? Now, this is when you always felt heard, you always felt relevant, you always felt understood, you had somebody that is a mentor or a parent or an adult figure in your life that sat you down and actually gave you guidance. And this is mostly important coming from biological parents. Took the time to understand where you're coming from, didn't knock down what you had to say, didn't dismiss it. You were valued as much as all of your siblings. There wasn't any favoritism in the home. You didn't feel less than, you didn't feel rejected. You felt like you were securely belonging in your family. You knew that you can count on anyone at any time. Now, how does that look when you're an adult? If you have a conflict, you're not going into your fear bank. You are very confident walking into a conflict. You know how to handle yourself. You're not afraid. You know you will be heard. You're confident in that. You're comfortable and secure in that. So, and you're not the type of person that's going to threaten or use emotional manipulation or emotional even blackmail or stonewalling or any of those behaviors because you're not in a desperate state of mind. Let's go to insecure attachment. What do those children feel? This is what happens in childhood when you develop insecure attachment. You live in a very chaotic home sometimes. There's a lot of arguing or there's a lot of shutting down. We don't talk about our feelings. Or you see a lot of separation. The adults in front of you are not modeling healthy communication styles. You do not feel heard. You do not feel relevant. Your needs are not always met. Sometimes it's intermittent. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm getting noticed, and other times it's like, hello, I'm here. There are inconsistencies in the way children are treated in your homes. There's favoritism going on. There's a lot of criticism in that home, a lot of possibly judgment, very unreasonable expectations. You are to be seen and not heard. You didn't feel relevant. You didn't feel secure in that. You didn't feel that you can depend on your environment to keep you emotionally safe. Now, we can even go as far as physically not safe either. That goes more into avoidant attachment. That's a whole different video. But insecure attachment is the majority of us, to be honest with you. And how we see that in adulthood is we are chasers or runners in a relationship. So some of us will feel like we're about to be abandoned, and we have major abandonment issues from our childhood. Remember, sometimes you didn't feel heard, sometimes you didn't feel relevant, you didn't feel seen, you felt like you weren't there. There's abandonment going on. So as an adult, when we have a conflict in a conversation, with our spouse, with our mate, and even with friends, close friends, we go into our fear factor, fight or flight immediately. Your brain says, uh-oh, we've felt this before, and now we need to go into our coping mechanisms that we developed as children. What does that look like? We're either over dramatic to be noticed, or we are runners because we don't want to feel the neglect. I'm going to remove myself before you neglect me. What does this look like in relationships? We have the person that wants to argue, and not drop it because they're terrified of being left alone and abandoned. And you have the person that's stonewalling because they cannot handle the vulnerability and the rejection and the lecturing. And what are you triggering for them when you're chasing? Sometimes you're flooding and you're thinking, there are put downs and emotional manipulation. And if you do this, then I'm not going to do this. And if you don't do this, then I'm going to leave you. It's a lot of blackmail going on in there. It's desperation, it's fear, it's afraid of not being enough or secure in the situation that you're in or in the relationship that you're in. So I wanted to explain this to you because you can break the cycle. As a child, you didn't have a choice. As an adult, you do. You know, you were put in that environment as a child and you just had to cooperate and deal with it and tolerate. As an adult, you could set some boundaries and you don't need to be so defensive. Trust the person that you're choosing to be with. There's a reason you chose that person, hopefully a healthy reason. So the communication has to be transparent, and that's very, very scary for insecure attached people. We don't want people to see our flaws, our weaknesses, our vulnerability, especially men. This is a tough one. They put up this front. So I needed to help you understand the pattern in adulthood, how that's going to look is you don't need to run from the situation. You don't need to stonewall. You don't need to chase. How do you build confidence in a relationship like this is you actually look at, the person that you're with and you ask yourself, have I ever been threatened? Have I ever worried about them leaving me? Have they ever stonewalled me? Have they ever not listened to me? Have I felt unheard, not validated? Now, a little bit of this happens in every relationship, don't get me wrong, in any style of attachment. It's just communication. But if you're obsessing about it, every disagreement, and you find your anxiety levels extremely high, then maybe you need to ask yourself, what is my biggest fear right now? Finish your sentence. Okay, we're arguing, but we're going to work through it. Okay, he's angry, but we're taking a break and we're going to come right back to the conversation in an hour. Okay, we're just taking space. It's not catastrophic. You're not being abandoned. You're not, and even say this to one another if you have this conversation about attachments and what's triggered for you. I'm not leaving you. I'm not abandoning you. I think I just need to take some space to go cool off. Let's resume in 30 minutes. That makes a huge difference versus I'm not dealing with this conversation anymore. I'm out of here. And you leave. That's abandonment. That triggers that part of the brain that the child is operating out of. So I hope this helped you kind of understand how to convince yourself that you're not in that situation of helplessness anymore. You do actually have a voice. You can set some boundaries. And if you feel that you are constantly chasing or fearful or defensive in your relationship, maybe you want to tap into what type of attachment style do you have, where is it coming from, and how can you break some of the cycles. This is definitely a very deep topic. I tried to do this in a very short video, but if you have any other questions, concerns, anything else you want me to touch base on, please send me a message. I'll be more than happy to either answer you personally or make another video or both. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for joining in. Please share this video. You never know who it's going to help. I'm just trying to reach as many lives as possible since, we are during a very difficult time and a lot of adjustments going on and people are just hurting. So once again, check out my website, rizanstherapeuticservices.com. I'm also on Yelp if you would like to see how I actually do my work and how I operate as a clinician. Thank you so much for joining in. I look forward to talking to you next time. Bye-bye.